Okay, I'm here with the chassis and frame of the Pennsylvania Railroad Decapod. It's a 210. The front wheels are off. And I had to do an extensive refitting and rebuilding on this because it just started locking up and I wasn't sure what happened. And then the first thing I discovered is it had something to do with these crossheads and crank pins, or actually piston rods. These are the piston rods which go in the main thrusting cylinder, and now they were made of plastic. Now I found out that this is a very old model. This model is a Penn line model. A Penn line was later taken over by Bowser. And I don't know if you could see it, but what ended up happening is these have a slight hole on it. There's a guide rod. Now, I don't know if you could see the hole in there, but this one was fine. What happened was it started seizing up, as you could see in some of the other videos. And what I did is I tried to repair it. And the repair held. It's a small piece of plastic that's bent over and glued on. And for whatever reason, it just was slightly too wide, and it kept binding. Now, the irony is, by the time I fixed this whole thing, how did I do it? I had to call Bowser. I know that they, I'm trying to get in close there so you could see it. That's the new one. There's a new one on each side. But Bowser no longer has the molds for any of these locomotives. They actually scrapped everything, got scrap value for it, and no other model company wanted it. So Bowser cannot produce any of these trains anymore unless they create new molds. And they sold off, you know, or scrapped most of the parts, and they didn't even have these crosshead parts, which are now metal. They didn't have it for the consolidation. Only had a left or a right. They didn't have both. So I had to get one from a different kit, a T1 that they had. Unfortunately, it's the same Pennsylvania style crosshead, and the rod was longer, so I had to just cut it down, and it works fine. But what I had to do is I was doing everything to try to make this work better. So individually in here you can see there are bolts that go in. All those bolts, all the holes in these side rods, I just ever so slightly used a very, very small file, which is here, and this file enabled me to just ream it out ever so slightly, just to make it a little more giving. Then, when I had to put this all back together, the rods, the guide rods that this goes on, had to be slightly adjusted. I'm talking about, this was really time consuming and painfully difficult. I mean, to me, it's like a rite of passage to build a Bowser. It's a shame their kits are gone. They were incredible kits, and you really feel a sense of accomplishment. And once you get it to work right, you always have to maintain it just like a real steam engine, even though this runs on electricity. But even these brace pieces that go, which are further elements of this whole contraption, and there's a slight, you know, there's a hole in each side, and the guide rod goes through it. But you got to be careful because the hole is off center, so you have to make sure that you have the left or the right. So super time consuming. Now here's the test. Let's pray that this thing works here. Let's send a little power through. Now for this, he said that this locomotive has to be at least 58 years old, at least, because it had the plastic guide crossheads. Now I don't want to run it crazy, you know, high. I mean, it's not all together. You know, the boiler's over there, the tender's over here, but you can see it's finally working. I even had some fun here, and I called Valvoline and asked them about their red grease, and they said it's safe for all plastics and metals because it's in the car. So I lubed it up with this red super grease, lithium, and I'm hoping that she doesn't, fall apart. Now, the interesting, I'm going to shut this off now, and I'm going to reverse power, polarity. I mean, think about this motor is like 60 years old. I think she's running. Well, this is not for the faint of heart, and you got to be patient because now you realize, oh my gosh, you can't even really get replacement parts. I mean, when this COVID is gone, God willing, you can go back to a train show. I got to buy up all the Bowser stuff I can find because there just isn't anymore. And it's one of the most wonderful locomotives. I mean, the thing is heavy, it weighs a ton, it has pulling power, and the mechanism is made to last. Now, there's some things I'm going to have to do on here to make it really foolproof. Like there's tiny little screws in some of these things, others are rivets, and where the screws are, I've got to put like a micro dot of, you don't want to use crazy glue because you won't be able to take the screw out, but just Elmer's glue, which is enough to, believe it or not, to keep it from wiggling, but it's easy enough to remove it if you have to. And here's a wonderful thing I got from Bowser. These are some of the rivets, which you could see. There's a rivet tool, but I don't have it out. I really need to use the rivets. So I'm going to try to put the rest of this together and hope that she wants to run. Let's see if we could reverse polarity. I'm one of those guys that believes you always shut it completely off before you change polarity. I always heard as a kid, oh, you'll weaken the magnets. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm very conservative. I like to take care of the toy train as best I can. So I put many, many hours into fixing this thing, but it's a, you gotta love it. You gotta love trains, and you don't take it for granted. And when it's not working with a Bowser kit or a Penline kit, it's probably you or me that's done something wrong, not the kit. So you gotta really be patient. And it's amazing, I just can't believe that they scrapped all the molds and there are gonna be no more new T1s, consolidations, challengers, big boys. I mean, it's all gone. So whatever you find at a train show, that's all she wrote. Now Bowser's still around, but they're just not making the steam engines. They're making diesels and other beautiful things, but I spoke to a fellow there, I think he was the owner, and he said nobody wanted them anymore. He says, now that they're gone, everybody wants them. So you don't know what you've got till it's gone. So, thanks for watching, and hopefully she'll finally, when I put it together, run on the track again. Thank you again. Bye for now. Hope you enjoyed it. Well, we're going to test this and see if it finally works. It's going to run on the track, but she's moving. Let's go the other way. Oh my gosh, it finally did it. It finally worked without pushing it or anything. Now, I didn't clean the wheels or anything. That's another story. But, oh my gosh, it works. Gotta clean up the big layout so it could run on the layout. I don't want to crash it. Wow, all that work paid off. And now I have a very rare Decapod that's not made anymore. Not made at all by Bowser. Supposedly they have this with a different boiler. Alright, so she works. She's so big that a test track of 2 feet long is really insignificant. Yep. Well, that I attribute to, I didn't even bother to clean the wheels at this point just because I had to get the mechanism fixed. And she's actually pretty good. So this was a very difficult journey, but it's well worth it. It's a beautiful locomotive, and it's really, you know, a classic from Penline. Eventually, I might repaint it, might put Pennsylvania Railroad decals on it, whatever, clean up the wheels. But I gotta get the main layout working so we can run it again. Glad that you watched, thanks. And you know, I have to say, knowing that somebody wants to see it and watch and learn a little bit, it's inspiring because, you know, sometimes when the project's difficult, you might just say, look, too much time to put into it, pack it away, fix it another day. But I started the project, I started making the film, and I said, no, I gotta try to fix it. And this was just not easy. Had to get replacement parts, a lot of tinkering, but it was well worth it. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye for now.